at least one. And this year, I think it is a great opportunity, at least for me, to look at it a little differently. So I'm going to start by, I know that during COVID, when none of us could come into this building, there was a sense of loss because the building is our sacred place. And I saw the day when Steve posted on Facebook pictures of him being in here. And what he particularly focused on was the way the light comes in our window. Will you stand up, Steve? So if you're in the building today, say standing right here, it's full on sun. Steve is helping me. He didn't even know he was going to. Will you turn around? Here's the deal. What can you see, Steve? The sun. Not much more, right? I mean, when it comes, it's our whole face. And if I'm on this side of Steve, wow, do I get an image of Steve standing in glory. Thank you. There is something about this place and that window and the sun that all come together for us when we think about what it means to be transfigured, to stand in the bright light of God. And we are so blessed to have that opportunity anytime that it's not raining, that we want it, right? Not every church has that. We have it. That is a gift of our ancestors and faith that actually is really meaningful. And I know this because I watch all of you come into the building, and I am not the only person that looks where the sun is and goes to stand near it. We all crave that. We all need that. We all want to stand in the presence of the light. And there it is, right there. So when I think about the transfiguration, I often preach about how wonderful that is and how we need to get out of the high mountain and come down to the world and be doing the work of being the gospel, which is true. This year, however, I wonder if maybe we need to spend a little bit more time standing in the light and sitting in the glory and making space for ourselves to be transformed. When I think of all the noise outside, and it's constant, it's relentless, and it's sad, but it's also anxiety producing and difficult to listen to, I know that the best antidote for me is to stop, to disengage, to find my center. What a better time could there possibly be to stand in the glory of God than right now? Come and stand in the light. And I don't mean figuratively. This is an invitation for all of you to be very mindful during Lent of where it is that you feel the presence of Christ. Where do you feel like you're standing in the light? Where do you need to stop and go? What time do you need to take? Where are you being called? The stories today that talk about Jesus and the transfiguration place it in the context of great glory. And I don't know about you, but I'm kind of hungry for great glory these days. So I want to encourage you to find where that glory is. And I'd like to remind you that it is because we experience that and we are in that relationship with Jesus that we can be effective disciples. And I'm not talking about healing, although you have to admit the gospel is pretty dramatic, right? It's a very, very potent healing story. I'm not talking about that level, maybe. Or maybe I am. Because I can't know for each of you what is your call to ministry. I know that to be discipled to Jesus means to encounter him on purpose and to sometimes encounter him in great glory. And I want to invite all of us to make sure that we make space for that. And if you're struggling, first of all, two things. If you're struggling to make space for that, if you're too busy, that is the perfect time to say, I really need to make space for that. So let that be your internal system. If I feel too busy to pray, I darn well better make more extra time to pray today. St. Augustine would love me for saying that. It's true though. The more stressed I am, the busier I am, the more I need to stop and pray. So I would like to invite you to be mindful of that during Lent. And then I would also like us all to be mindful of what happens when we deliberately apprentice ourselves to Jesus and we make an effort to stand in the light, to know the light, and then to go out and be the light, in whatever way that works for you. If that is serving pancakes at Connections or offering someone a smile on the sidewalk, that is all about spreading the light. That is all the work of being the disciple. And perhaps we will not do something as dramatic as healing someone who is possessed, perhaps. And we are at least 20 people here today. We can make a significant difference in Mankato in March of 2025 if we all go forward with that. The invitation today is to stop, to see the glory, to be in the glory, to appreciate the glory, and to let that glory transform us so that we can transform our world in ways big or small or whatever works for you. How do you engage the light? How do you bring the light? This is a question I started with at the beginning of Advent, and I'm still preaching it. Be the light. If you're struggling to find out how to be the light, today's gospel tells you the answer. Deliberately put yourself in a place where you will encounter Jesus and be transformed by what that means. And if that means that you want to come here because this is a phenomenal opportunity, then I hope you text me and say, I need to be led into church because I'm going to find a way to get the door open so you can come here and stand there, because it is important for us to let our bodies really feel what it means to have that sun on us, to stand in that glory. And Lent is about feeding our bodies and souls to kind of shore up our discipleship. The question today is one of transformation. And I know it sounds kind of esoteric, and I know we can do it. So my hope is that everybody stops, not just once, stops during Lent and fills our cup and stands in the glory that's so bright that you can't even see what is in front of you, to be in that glory and then take that feeling and transform whatever part of the world is yours to work in. This is the time. As much noise as there is out there, this is the time to disciple yourself as actively as you can to Jesus and to understand what that means and go be the light. So it starts with come into the light, be in the glory, recognize how important that is, and then take it with you every day. May we all have a holy Lent.